All right, now this is actually pretty cool. This is a passable shelter. I could actually see spending the night in this. It's not going to keep you warm. It won't insulate you from the ground, and yeah, it's just not going to provide insulation on any side. It's just going to keep you dry if it rains. But it's a passable shelter. You could actually kind of fit in there. Won't hold up against much wind. So if it's windy, if it's much more windy than this, it's probably going to fall apart on you. But still, this is way better than using one poncho. You can see I used two ponchos, two regular sized ponchos, and they actually form a somewhat passable tent. Definitely better than a lean-to, and yeah, you could actually fit in there with your pack. You have space to work on things, prepare tinder, whatever you need to do while keeping dry. So it's pretty good. This actually looks so nice. We're probably going to put this part of the video first before showing you what it looks like with only one poncho. You make this even better by putting a third poncho in the middle, just to sort of reinforce it. And you could probably reinforce it with branches and stuff too, and make this a whole lot better. I mean, really, you'd want to just create an entire shelter out of branches and only use these for waterproofing. But yeah, this works pretty well. This is a whole lot better. This is almost as good as what I built with two emergency blankets. Emergency blankets are way better. The one I built with a tarp was even better than that. You can see I just strung a line between two trees and used that as the center. Tied them together in the center here like this. And stake down the corners like this. And you're going to want to be careful for the corners. These tear easily, so you could just destroy the entire thing pretty easily. So this is basically how we stake down the corners. It can be a whole lot harder if you don't happen to have rope on you. But if you do, great. So this is leaps and bounds ahead of using a single poncho shelter. Still not going to keep you warm, but it might keep you dry. You might avoid hypothermia. Maybe. Alright, so this is what we were able to accomplish with a single poncho. This is a standard regular sized poncho. It's not a large poncho, just a regular sized one. You can see why you would actually probably be way better off with a large poncho. The bigger the better shelter you're going to be able to make. Yeah, this is pretty small. Your feet are probably going to stick out one end or the other. And yeah, it'll only hold up to a little bit of wind. It's not going to keep you warm, especially in sub-freezing temperatures like this. It will keep you out of the rain, so temperatures go above freezing and it is raining, it'll keep you a little bit dry. You're probably almost better off just wearing the poncho as a poncho, but if you wanted somewhere to sit down and like prepare tinder, somewhere dry so that your tinder isn't going to get wet while you're preparing it, so that you could build a fire before you build an actual shelter, that might be a good use for it. Yeah, if you just need something quick to throw together and this is all you have, it's better than nothing. Gives you a dry place to work. So yeah, that's one legitimate use I can think of for it. Doesn't take a lot. They're small. They don't take up a lot of space. Pretty easy to put together. And this does demonstrate why you would actually want more than one poncho. And the bigger the better. So we're going to actually probably show you how it looks if we use multiple ponchos, because we do have more than one. This is basically using a small poncho like this, standard emergency poncho. Picked it up for about $4. It's really small. I can fit it in my pocket. Use that and a little bit of rope, and this is what we built. It's basically a lean-to, or like half a tent. It's enough, you can kind of lay down in there. Another good use we could think of for this is you could actually build a real shelter using branches and stuff, and just use this on top just to seal it up and keep the water out. So there's another good reason to have it around. But yeah, so either that or just use it as a temporary place to store your gear, or keep things dry until you can build a real shelter. You could build a little bit more passable of a shelter to get you through the night if you use more than one poncho, which we're going to try to show you. And even better, this is what it looks like with 3 ponchos. We could have reinforced it on top by putting a third one on top to reduce the chances of rain leaking in through the center, but instead we chose to make it longer instead. One thing we discovered is that it's actually probably better. This is just a single poncho we added here. You're probably better off just running them the long way, like this, just from one end to the other. It's shorter here and it wouldn't work by itself. So with a single poncho, that's totally not going to work. But if you do have more than one, you don't want to build it like what we did over there. Now that works because we were just extending a single poncho shelter. If it's a single poncho, you have to run it the long way. But if you are planning to build a multi-poncho shelter, you're probably going to want to run them the short way, like this one. That way you're going to avoid leakage in the center. So yeah, if we had run all 3 of these, like this one here, if we had just run all 3 of them like that, one after the other, we get the same size, but with a better shelter that has less chance of leaking, and they would actually overlap a whole lot easier. Like this connection here has way less chance of leaking, and it's easier to connect. We actually didn't even have to tie them together really. We tied the ends here, but actually none of that would be necessary had we just run them all like this one. See, with connecting these guys in the center here, this is kind of messed up because we actually had to stick a stick through there and tie this messed up knot around here. And that works to bind them together, and you could probably come up with something easier and better to clip them together, but it's not the way to go, and you can just avoid all that messiness if you just go with that. So if you know that ahead of time, it's going to make things easier and give you a better shelter. So if you plan that out ahead of time and use multiple ponchos, you could come up with a passable waterproof shelter. A pretty okay tent for carrying 3 pocket-sized ponchos. Yeah, so if you know that, just build it that way. It's going to make things a whole lot easier. And beyond that, if you had more of them, you could you'd probably block up one or both of the ends. Maybe block up one end permanently and block up the other end, just make like a flap to enter in and out through. And you could use that as a pretty decent temporary shelter. Yeah, I'm gonna actually feel kind of bad taking this whole thing down. This came out a whole lot nicer than I thought it would. I never imagined this would actually be as usable as it is. Thought it would turn out terrible. So yeah, I'm gonna kind of feel bad taking this whole thing down now.